Greetings, Commanders! Welcome to Kerrash Landing, episode 23, recorded on the 23rd of December 2013. I am Commander Kerrash, and tonight I am joined by Commander Alien.
Hello!
Alien is here to help me answer your questions whilst I play. So again, in this episode we'll be showing you more of the Elite Dangerous Alpha 1.1 with Oculus Rift support. As always, viewer comments and suggestions are welcome, so anything you enter into the chat we'll try to answer as quickly as we can and to the best of our knowledge. And how are you doing this evening, Alien?
Oh, I'm okay. I just suddenly realised I didn't have the speaker part of my headset plugged in. I couldn't hear a thing.
Oh dear. Well, I was a slight delay, and I suppose you noticed the screen size wasn't quite right for a few seconds there, so
Yeah.
I had to go mess around with the Oculus settings, a few minor glitches, but there we go, we're back online now. Excellent. So where did I get to? See, every time I sit in this cockpit of this thing again, it seems so odd. Go from my my room to this again, but there we go. We're back in space again. So it's probably not apparent to most people, but one of the things I have actually raised a bug for is the crosshair tracking, because at the moment the current crosshair is kind of following my my eye movement. So I've actually got, it won't show up in the stream very well for anyone unless they're actually using an Oculus to review this, but the cursor itself is being rendered in two separate points, not in the center of my vision, so that's a bit of an oversight. It only happens when you try and reset the graphics settings, but it makes aiming slightly difficult. Not being particularly bad with my aiming, it just that's my excuse anyway.
What have you read about what works with Track IR? For example, we know the side panels work in Track IR, but they don't work in the Rift. So what have you read about the differences between Rift and Track IR?
Not a great deal actually. I've been rather absent on the forum since the Alphas come out, as you can imagine. But no, I do like the look of the stuff that Track IR brings to the table. I think was it Valkyrie, I think, has got some great videos on YouTube, has been trying it out, so that's particularly the zooming in where you can lean forward to look at the center console and everything. That's definitely a nice touch, and I can't wait for the Oculus to do that. But I think the thing with the Track IR is it's not a completely different camera view, with the Oculus being a completely different way of working with the rendering. I think that's why we have an issue with the side consoles not rendering correctly. So I think with the Track IR it's more like a traditional image you would get on a monitor, so it's being rendered in the same way as a single monitor. In that respect, you don't have the issue that we have here on the Rift. Now they're definitely there, the two consoles, because I know when you activate them you can hear them being activated, but they just don't render. So that's been reported though. Frontier will get round to fixing that. I have got all of my bug reports actually. I've had an initial answer on them to say they've been filed and they're under investigation, which is fantastic actually. When you look at a lot of tech support things, especially this time of year, you wouldn't even expect to get an answer. So I'm quite surprised. Frontier at least have someone in the office there to answer these tickets and fill them into a database. Fair play to them.
I mean, they've got their own Oculus Rift dev kit, haven't they?
Yes, yeah, I think they've... Well, I'm not sure if they've actually shown it, but they've mentioned it a few times on some of the dev videos, and I think Mike Evans has said directly in the chat that he's had a play with it, but he doesn't have one available at home, so I'm sure when they get back in the office it'll be a minor thing for them to tweak. They'll probably... Well, I imagine they might come back and ask me some more questions if I haven't explained it particularly well. Hopefully I have. I've tried to. It's one of those things. I mean, in my job anyway. I mean, I've worked in several different departments, starting with an L1 support desk. So You know, I know exactly what it's like to not have enough information in a ticket. It's a pain in the backside. The number one
Yeah.
thing you need to do is to be able to reproduce the problem so that you can diagnose the issue and fix it. So, lack of information is a killer in that respect.
Well, the beauty of them letting people stream and upload to YouTube is they can watch what people have done.
Yeah.
If they can't reproduce the bug themselves, they can look at the video and go, right, that's what happened.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I've done actually. I mean, I picked out there was a couple of highlights in the videos the other night where some weird glitches and issues showed up. So I've separately captured a couple of seconds of the video which demonstrates it, and I've privately shared that with the guys in Frontier so they can review it. I think that's definitely the easiest way of doing it, really. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a constant visual log instead of just a blob of text saying, yeah, it don't work, which frustratingly enough is the usual answer you get when you're filling in a support ticket. Is someone just puts something along the lines of, yeah, it stopped working, which is incredibly useless.
Yeah.
Bit of flight assist off action there. I'll have to preempt the things I want to do and shout about it beforehand so the delay doesn't catch me out.
I mean, I've got a full version of Fraps, so
Oh, right.
I'm hoping to record when I play beta.
Oh, excellent, cool.
I probably won't upload all of it to YouTube like some people are doing, and I almost certainly won't stream for two reasons. One, everyone else. There's a lot of people streaming already, so
Yes,
you don't
yes.
need yet another person streaming the same stuff. And my computer, as it is at the minute, probably can't handle playing the game and Fraps and OBS running and Twitch and everything. So
Yeah, that was my worry with it. Really, was a lot of the same things. I thought there's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, that's why I went and bought the slightly better graphics cards. So I'm going to end up cricking my neck if I keep doing strange maneuvers like that.
So all I'm planning to do is record what I play, and then if there's anything I need, I want to report to Frontier, I can cut out that little bit like you've done.
Yeah.
Upload it privately to my YouTube channel and share a private link with Frontier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just seems to be the most simplest way of doing it for me as well. So I just thought, it's helpful. I mean, that's the main thing really. Is my first priority is to get something useful for Frontier so they can use it to improve the game. But, if I can let the community have a look-see on things they wouldn't normally be able to get to, then that's all great as well. That's exactly what the idea of the stream was, really. So, whoa, excellent. I wish I could explain to people better how this plays. It's great fun.
And of course, you're not the only one with an Oculus Rift playing Alpha.
Oh yeah, actually, I found what was the name of the person? I saw it earlier on today. I was quite surprised actually. I thought it was a very limited audience really, but yeah, definitely. Do you know who that was?
I'm looking now. One
Okay,
moment.
excellent, right here. Yeah, it did pop up somewhere earlier on. I think it was on the forum somewhere. I did notice that there was someone else doing it, which is cool, really, to see some extra content going out there. I mean, that's the main thing, really, getting the.
On the forum, he's called Little Jobby.
Oh right.
But he's not the only one. You and him are not the only ones with an Oculus Rift. I've seen at least one other person on the forum with an Oculus Rift.
Oh right, excellent. I was expecting to be in the minority. I mean, at least there's a few of us. That's a good thing, I suppose. So it's not just me. I mean, my biggest fear is that something shows up in the alpha as a bug or something, which I don't see. So having an extra pair of eyes on it is great, really. Quite literally, extra pair of eyes on it. So I guarantee you this time, as I think was it who was it who set me the challenge for to do all of the? I think it was Commander Jan. I think set me the challenge to do all of the missions in a row. Yeah, I'm just thinking it'd be absolutely typical. I'll manage to do it whilst they aren't online.
Hey, Petrisk!
Ah, greetings, Commander. This is a super sneaky stream that I'm just putting in because, hey, I've finished all the wrapping now. My hope was I was going to try and get the webcam up because I know a few people have requested I show the webcam, but suffice to say it's died to death. No matter how much solder I apply to it, I cannot repair it. So I'll have to wait for the new one to show up.
So we have to wait to see your gurning face.
That is, yeah, one of the unfortunate side effects of the Rift is you end up looking like a bit of an idiot as you barrel around, arching your neck backwards and pulling all sorts of ridiculous faces. But hey, every technology has a downside. So I did see some forum posts today, actually, where I think it was, is it Jacobi, I think it was, started a thread that was concerned about the way that shields were working in the alpha, because I know there was a huge debate about it on the DDF early on, how things were going to work on it. One of the things that he was a little bit, not necessarily annoyed at, but kind of disappointed was the lack of an apparent kind of combination of shield penetration and hull damage together. There just seems to be this all of nothing reaction. I don't know if you've noticed that in the videos, but there really is this kind of you know, you have to get the shields down before you start doing hull damage sort of effect. So you know, it kind of makes combat a bit kind of how can I explain? It's very hard to explain.
Bit of a grind?
Well, no, not necessarily a grind. It's just you're doing one thing, you're doing another thing, and if you don't get enough hull hits in whilst the shields are down, you have to kind of like start all over again from scratch sort of thing, which can be a bit of a pain in the backside.
Right.
And I think what they were getting at on the forum was you know, it would be nice if there was different weapon types where some had more of a shield penetration effect, you know. And I don't know how that would fit in balance. It'd be interesting to try it. I'd like to see how it feels compared to this. And I suppose that is the main thing for alphas, really, is to give us a kind of a few different I physically ducked then a few different builds to try and mess around with a few different ways of doing combat. So no, I think it would be interesting to try it. I mean, I definitely kind of get the impression that something like a railgun shot or something should have some sort of shield penetration factor on it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like if your shields are completely down, then it should probably be pretty devastating. But if your shields are up, then it's the speed it's going at, it's still likely to get through your shields, but cause less damage. I think it'd be an interesting flight model, well, combat model, I suppose, to see how that feels. So, I mean, I'd be up for trying that out if Frontier are considering doing a couple of alpha builds with some minor tweaks to things like that. It'd be interesting to see. But then that is
probably have a... Sorry.
No, carry on.
I was just going to say, they'll probably have a bigger variety of weapons when as they like build up to the full game. In X3, the X3 series, like X3 Terran Conflict and that, you had a few different types of weapons. Most of them were like plasma weapons, but you had like the ion cannon, which only took out your shields. Didn't do any hull damage at all, just took your shields down. And then you had a mass driver, which is basically what your Gatling gun is, that fired bullets that ignored shields completely, went straight through shields and hit the hull.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I mean that's how I remember the discussion being in the DDF thread for the shields and combat model and things like that, that they were going to have this variety of weapon damage. And it might just be that they've not enabled that yet, because I know Mike Evans said the railgun at least is still a work in progress. because at the moment it... Oh, and I've just clicked away from the window. What an idiot! At the moment, it is a instant hit model.
The sneeze cannon.
Yeah, yeah. It literally is a bit of a "achoo" hit. Yeah, absolutely. So I know that's something they're going to go back and work on, and make it into something with literally a high velocity projectile. So that'll be interesting to see how that changes the damage model. So yeah, it definitely feels like at the moment the weapons are a work in progress, and there's still some work to be done on them.
And my screen's just gone blank, so I've just caught up with you clicking away from the screen.
Yeah,
that'll give people an idea of how much delay there is.
Yeah, that is the issue with it. Actually, is there's no easy way of doing that. I've tried multiple other things, and one of the things I was considering is if I gave you a copy of the stream key so that you could stream content at the same time, but that doesn't work either. Unfortunately, there's no way of doing it. Twitch doesn't support simultaneous streams, so. It's a bit of a pain, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Combination of things. Right, let me just restart this. Fortunately, like I said before, once I drop the window out, it resets all of the graphics settings and everything, and I have to restart to get everything working on the Rift again. There we go. Okay. And then of course I'm blind with this thing on until I've at least enabled Rift mode. There we go. See, I consider that a minor thing. I mean, I had done all the other missions so far. That's just a minor technical glitch. I don't think that counts.
Yeah. No, we won't count that.
We'll carry on where we left off. Another minor glitch there would be the fact that it's not rendering for me right now. There we go. That's better, right. And we're back in the room. Right. Cannot see. Yeah, we've got the rendering glitch on the target reticule again. So the unfortunately the distance to target indicator is practically unreadable for me at the moment. I think that's somewhere in the 300-400 range, and that's something which is surprisingly useful. Actually, you wouldn't consider the range to be so important, but with the weapons having limits on their range, you have to know where it is. And I did have the great Jonty himself actually comment on one of my YouTube videos, and he
mentioned last night.
Yeah, and he was talking about how he felt that the UI was a little cluttered for his liking, but I did explain that. Obviously, in the Rift videos, the whole interface that you're seeing, through the video itself is effectively more compact and not particularly. Oops, I've lost my shields now. Not exactly what you would see in a normal gameplay environment, without the Rift on. Because effectively the game's doing all the extra rendering of all the edges of the cockpit and all that stuff out with my peripheral vision to give me that wraparound effect. When you're playing the game normally, you wouldn't see all of this additional stuff to the side, so it will appear more cluttered to most people.
Yeah. How does it look for you? Because when you're concentrating on firing on the target, we
Mhm.
still see, watching the stream with the left and right parts.
Reticles. Yeah.
We still see half the floor.
Mm.
How does it look for you? Do you see half the floor? Because to us,
Yeah.
where you're positioned with the rift
Mm.
is a lot further back than without the rift.
Yeah, it is a bit of an odd sensation, but because effectively the camera in the game is so much further backwards, my position feels more natural. It's an odd thing to describe, but because the camera itself is actually rendering not just a flat pane like a monitor in front of you, it is rendering almost like a dome in front of my face. So that whole view is being wrapped around the sides of my head and everything. So the peripheral vision is really there. I mean, like I feel like if I was to hold my right arm up 45 degrees, for example, it would be pointing roughly where the first aid kit is. Well, if I look down, so that's where my right arm is to me naturally now, is where the first aid kit is. So
Right.
it's, there is a little bit of a disparity in what you see on the screen there. Like example, the floor there, I'm not really concentrating on it. It's in the same sort of position as where my desk is now in the real world.
Right.
So to me, it's not really a lot of my view being taken up by unnecessary content there. I've got one wingman left. So I'm hoping we'll have nice little display panels on the side of here sooner. That'd be excellent to have all that extra information on the side. I can just look up and around, and it'd be interesting to see the other cockpits as well, because it's obviously this is a much more realistic environment. It really does feel like these cockpit areas are like right around my head. So being able to try out the different cockpits is going to be really great fun. I can't wait for that. Especially something like the Anaconda with a much larger scale bridge.
Yeah.
Just I wonder how that's going to feel.
I mean, Mike did say there would be different cockpits for the different ships, but is the HUD going to be the same, or is it going to be different for different ships?
I imagine it's going to be similar. It's I know some games might go to the extreme of coming up with an excuse about how it's like, cockpits are standardized due to some sort of blah 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 sort of thing like that. But really, when it comes to a gameplay point of view, it's like once you've taught players one thing, you don't want to have to like reteach them again. So it kind of would make sense to have everything at least the same sort of layout, with the target and your ship and the scanner and everything in a similar layout. But I imagine in bigger ships you could probably quite comfortably change the background model, for example. So whilst the Sidewinder looks a little bit rough and ready and panels hanging off here and there and stuff like that, obviously the Anaconda would be much more luxurious inside the bridge, I imagine. So, but you could still have a center console displaying that scanner. It would probably just be the size of a coffee table, and at reach for everyone to look at. So what I can see of the concept art and the sneak peek we had, getting close to the Anaconda last night, it looks like there's at least 3 seats on the bridge of the Anaconda. So hopefully you'll be able to see two little crew members next to you on either side.
Yeah. What I found with obviously, as you know, with Frontier Elite 2, you had the dash thing across the bottom, and that was the same for every single ship.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played X2 The Threat at all, did you?
I didn't play a lot of it, but I think I know where you're going with that. I think that it's because it had all the different various hulls and whatnot, didn't it?
Yeah, you could fly different ships, and they had different cockpits, but also the HUDs were different ship to ship.
Yeah.
But they all had the same basic things. So you had your radar and your speed and your laser temperature and that.
Yeah.
You had the same things on all the different HUDs. They might be laid out different, but once you got into a different ship with a different HUD and you looked, right, well, there's me warp speed, there's me laser, there's the radar, blah blah blah.
Mm.
It wasn't a problem.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just kind of that familiarising yourself. I mean, as long as there's a few similar HUD elements, so you're not completely relearning, I imagine it would still work just as well. I suppose it's down to a question of preference, really, isn't it? It's what people would like to see. But personally, I wouldn't mind either way. You know, I think the HUDs that we've seen so far are more than functional. So it would be nice to see a bit of variation, I think. I think for a lot of people it tends to be the silly little things that are more important. Like everyone I've spoke to about the HUDs, it's like the first thing they say is like, "Can you change the colour?" You know, which is like,
Yeah, but why would you want to change the colour? What's wrong with orange?
yeah,
Seriously.
I
Why
know.
isn't it green or red or purple? I don't get it.
No, I think it's this strange thing. I mean, there's a lot of things like that in modern games which are popular these days. Is this kind of like idea of personalizing your setup, which is why things like this what's the word I'm looking for? The DLC stuff that's being talked about at the moment, the cosmetic, you know, upgrades and things like that, which are completely have no effect on the gameplay, but it's just these cosmetic things that people like, and you know, it's. I don't see the point of it, but I know lots of people that would, you know, go out and they spend real money on things like just clothes for their avatars on Xbox Live and things like that, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
why on earth would you want that? I don't understand that thing, but it is a popular thing. So I mean, I suppose you have to kind of consider, you know, what the majority are asking for and what they want, you know, and if they are saying that, you know, we want to be able to, you know, paint shark teeth down the side of our Cobras, then, you know, that's something that is really going to have to be considered, you know, for the final release and the store. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, you know, obviously, like I said, there's a lot of debate about that at the moment. You know, what's going to be the best thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of to blame for some of that. I did start a thread that's like 400 odd posts now about microtransactions.
Yeah, that's it was always going to be a hotly debated topic. And I mean, are you in the DDF, Alien? I'm not sure.
No.
you're not.
I'm only up to founder level, 150 quid.
Okay.
I couldn't go up to 300.
No, I got into trouble for
I've
that.
had a whole year to upgrade my pledge, and I still couldn't do it.
No, it was ridiculous. Yes.
I'll be honest with you though, I'm not bothered about not being in the DDF. I mean, at first, I was a bit upset about it, but I'm not bothered. I honestly don't feel like I'm missing anything, and the creative decisions that have happened, I'm happy with. You know, nothing's been ruined.
No, absolutely, and that's. I mean, to begin with, you know, it was a lot of debate and arguments, and you know, things weren't coming out quite as clearly. But I think once Frontier got the handle on how to deal with the DDF, since then, I mean, I there's nothing I've really can say that I can fault with it. I mean, they've come up with some really great ideas off the bat. It's been very difficult to actually pick any flaws in anything in the DDF. The only thing it's become now really is a kind of a place to share ideas, you know, and there's been a couple of great threads where we've, you know, posted up a few ideas for different scenarios and whatnot with Frontier, which has been great fun. So, you know, I think it's been a great place to hang out and share ideas and whatnot. So I think that's where most of the community seems to focus on now, is that sort of thing. And the microtransaction thing is really kind of it's been handled really smoothly, actually, I must admit. It's I was expecting
I'm still
it
waiting to read that. Because I have to wait until it gets
oh,
put in
until it
the
gets,
archive.
yeah, of course, yeah. And yeah, it's surprisingly level-headed and kind of adult, particularly for an internet forum, you know. It's turned out a lot more civil than I expected. And I think it helped that Frontier themselves kind of admitted openly in the initial post was, you know, we know this is going to be a hotly debated topic, so we're going to split it up into these smaller kind of piece by piece kind of conversations, and it's worked really well, actually. We've been really kind of open about it and come up with some great ideas of things that people don't mind, and I think the general feeling at the moment seems to be, you know, microtransactions for cosmetic things are, you know, meh. They don't really get in the way, so no big deal there, but still heavily against the whole idea of having gameplay changing things that you can purchase, and I mean personally I don't like the idea of that either. I think that's the bane of modern games, really.
Petrisk is just asking what's the latest buzz on microtransactions in the DDF, which you've literally just said.
I think I just answered that.
When will Frontier publish the updated proposal?
I wish I knew. Unfortunately, I'm not privy to the schedule and those sorts of things. I imagine at the moment they're working on a skeleton crew, and they've probably got no one there for the holidays, so I doubt we're going to see an update on that anytime soon. And like I said, it's been split into a few kind of... Ooh, missiles missed there. It's been split into a few kind of topics and divvied up into some smaller conversations, so I don't know whether they're going to wait until all of those things have been answered. Whoa, completely missed him. Or whether they're going to send out piecemeal one at a time. So, unfortunately, I can't answer that any more than what I know myself. Come on, come on, come on. This other one's on my tail. There we go.
So how did you find playing with just the keyboard last night?
Tricky, but not as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. I mean, particularly after I've got used to using the flight stick, I thought it would be a right pain in the backside. But no, it was actually quite well balanced. It works, very well. I don't think I'd stick to that control method given the option. But if I had nothing else to play with, I think it works quite well actually. I can imagine if I was going out with a gaming laptop or something like that, it would be definitely the way to play on a lower spec machine or something like that if you were completely out of all other options. But to be honest, I didn't find it any worse than the keyboard and mouse combo actually, because I think that's one of the things I found with the keyboard and mouse is because the X and Y is tied to the roll instead of the yaw, it was a bit difficult to get used to, and I think with the keyboard setup it works just as well as the the keyboard and mouse combo. So, but definitely I would say, I mean, it seems to be very heavily optimized towards sticks or controllers. And like I said, I mean, the first gameplay video I did, I think I was using the Xbox 360 controller, and that was definitely well balanced. So I would recommend, if you are sat on keyboard and mouse, then go and grab yourself a cheap USB controller at least and give that a go, because I think that's going to work much better for you.
Yeah. Petrisk has asked a question, and we're going to go back to the vanity items debate.
Oh, yeah, sure.
As a developer, how do you think cosmetics... Oh, hang on, let me start this again.
Okay.
As a developer, how do you think cosmetics would be enough to support Elite Dangerous at level Frontier developments and community wants? I've just read that verbatim.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Sorry, Petrisk.
No, I think, it's a question of balance. I mean, if it gets too silly, then I think it's going to annoy a lot of people, but there's a lot of tie-ins they can do. I mean, when you look at something like the Christmas tree bobblehead here, for example, you can imagine them doing a set of seasonal type things that may pay for themselves. And when you look at it that way, it's kind of like charity donations. It's almost like the Kickstarter thing again. It's like, you don't have to get these things, but if you do pay for them, there's it's like a little reward scheme almost like the Kickstarter. So I think it could work, but without understanding the operating costs of what Elite Dangerous is going to be like after release, it's hard for me to say. I know from, like Petrus was saying there, from the point of view of a developer, I think if it's done well, it can be good, but I wouldn't want to see it turn into something like Angry Birds, where there's or something like that, where there seems to be a new pack every 5 minutes with nothing much added into it, just to get that little bit of extra money out of it. So
yeah.
back to that mission again.
I know it's a bit on the risky side, bringing the Star Citizen comparison into play here, but when you look at the differences between Star Citizen being developed and Elite Dangerous being developed, you see just how reserved Frontier are compared to Star Citizen. And that's almost certainly an American-British thing going on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's I think that's always been, you know, kind of something which people thought was going to happen actually with the two games, because it's, you know, they are two completely different styles of game. You know, even though it's they're effectively the same thing. They're both space simulation games, but you know, just that kind of, like you said, the American-British kind of culture. It's a completely different way of thinking, and it seems that Star Citizen have gone down more the route of the kind of like modern-day popular shooter sort of angle, and they've gone for the whole kind of action and big guns and that sort of thing. And you know, even though this is the combat alpha, it's like you said, it's actually quite reserved, and you know, it's nice to see that. Oh, I'm getting shot at here as I'm trying to explain myself. Always a bad thing. Yeah, it's nice to see that Frontier are considering, you know, the game being a lot more kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily slower paced, but kind of smoother and varied, and it's not all about action and story. You know, it's about you carving out your own gameplay, you know, rather than what's been predetermined for you.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading on the Egosoft forums with regards to Rebirth, but about Star Citizen and how they're going to be putting in crafting and owning stores and that. I'm not going to go so far as to say owning factories, because I can't remember word for word what I've read. But you're going to be able to own stores and set up items to trade, and then you put on like a bulletin board.
Oh yeah.
What you've got to trade, and then someone takes up the contract to come and get your goods and take it from you. Like they buy it off you.
Okay.
So they then go and take it somewhere else to sell. So and then there's also movement contracts. So you've got a selling. You can sell goods, or you can contract someone to move them if you've got another factory that wants them.
All right. Well,
we don't need to worry about any of that in Elite Dangerous, because we're not going to be setting up shops and owning stations and things like that. We're going to be the ones transporting goods from A to B.
Yeah, and I think that's the key distinction there. Is it's not this kind of like you know, this one-size-fits-all sort of thing where you know, there's all these dynamics and stuff that you have to kind of fit in with. It's more of this kind of like, you know, you get your hands dirty, you get into the nitty-gritty, and you actually, you know, you cause the action rather than be told what to do, and or tell others what to do, that sort of thing. And again, it's that kind of the difference between a modern style shooter game, you know. So I mean, looking at something like oh, I'm overheating. Whoopsie, forgot about that. You know, a modern style game like Assassin's Creed 4, which I just played with recently, where it's got this mechanic in there where you can get hold of other ships. Sorry, spoiler alert. But you can get hold of crews and have like a fleet of ships, and you can send them off on odd jobs to do things for you, where you you know, get them to gather more materials or more money and things like that, and send them on the odd jobs. And I mean, that style of gameplay is okay if you don't mind that sort of thing. But like you said, Elite is more about that, you know, getting your hands dirty and going out there and actually doing it, rather than just being orchestrating it, so to speak.
Petrisk is saying in the chat that CIG have caved into third-person requests.
Oh, for the yeah, for Star Citizen, you mean, or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
CIG have caved in.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate that they would, they get to that point where they feel that they have to do that, and it is. I think that's something which has been quite apparent all along with Frontier. Is they've got a clear vision for what they want, and they're not completely ignoring this, but at the same time they're not bowing to peer pressure, so to speak, of all of us screaming about one particular thing we want over another. So I'm kind of glad to see that things haven't just become a free for all. And I think the vision that Frontier have for this is that kind of like when you look at it like Half-Life, completely first person all the time, even all the cutscenes and everything. So I can understand where Frontier are coming from. If this game remains completely first person, I think that's not going to be a bad thing at all. I think it's going to be a very nice approach.
I'm happy first person whilst you're flying your ship, like now. But once they bring in the EVA expansion, where you have an avatar, you can walk around. I'd like that to be I'd like you to have the choice between a first person view or a third person view, where you see your avatar.
Well, you can imagine something like, today we have things like quadricopters. Why not? You can have a personal assistance kind of droid following you around. There you go. There's an excuse. Frontier can have that one for free. But yeah, that's it. And I've done it again. Oh dear, I'm not having a good evening with this mouse being where it is. I really need to move it out of the way. There we go. I need to restart that. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Definitely with like a walking around sort of thing. It's going to be better for third person for a lot of people. But then with something like the Rift, a bigger concern for me is, even if you do stay completely first person and you're walking around inside a space station or whatever, I'm looking at it and thinking, well, how am I going to go from controlling the ship with my joystick to suddenly thinking, right now, where did I put the controller here, or should I use the keyboard? Where's the mouse? And that's a big concern for me, is when we start switching gameplay paradigms, and there's better control schemes for each of those things. I don't.
It's like for an avatar, a control pad is a better thing to use.
Yeah, like you said, for walking around third person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a joystick's not the ideal controller for an avatar. It's an ideal controller for a ship, but not for an avatar.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said there, third person, that is the best way I've found for a controller. And then for first person, I definitely say keyboard and mouse combo all the way. I've always said that. That's always been my preferred method for first person. So, but I don't really want to be fumbling around. It's kind of it would be frustrating. It's like they've gone to all that effort to make it completely immersive, completely first person and seamless, and I could land my sidewinder, turn around and walk out of that little hatch behind me, but then at the same time I'm then like fumbling for my keyboard to get to the controls so that I can actually use it properly. That's it's gonna be a little bit of a downer, you know what I mean? To have all that effort that's gone into making it immersive, and then it's effectively broken every time I have to lift up my visor, sort of thing. Still, I could always go full hog and get a Virtuix Omni in here as well. I don't know. Have you seen one of those, Alien? The Virtuix Omni? Are you familiar with the Kickstarter for that?
No, I'm not.
Ah, excellent. It's a complete 360 degree treadmill.
Oh, I know what you're on about now. Yes, you stand in it. Yeah.
And that was I was hoping to have a go on one, but I saw one at the game show, and the guy who was demoing it, but unfortunately they weren't letting people actually play on it, which was a bit of a pain. I really wanted to try it, but I think that's the beacon I'm shooting there. But yeah, unfortunately it wasn't available for the public to test out. But yeah, that's an interesting thing as well. But my only bugbear with it is it's kind of it's like we're going back a step in a lot of ways. It's a very specific control scheme. It's great for first-person shooters and things like that. Not really much use for any other kind of system. Like a racing game or like this, like a flight simulation of any kind. In which case, like we don't really need a simulator kind of like the Virtuous Omni for a flight sim game. I've got a perfectly adequate one here. It's called a seat. You don't really need anything else for it. But it'll be interested to see where it goes. It's a great kind of to see all these things growing and the interest in VR again. It was something I always wanted as a kid, and to see some of these great games coming out now and using all this awesome looking technology. It's I can't fault it at all. It's great to see all of the variation and the innovation going on. So. There we go. And I did see a particularly nice home setup where someone had a 3-screen surround system they were using before with a full-on simulator for car games, and what they did was they managed to get out of a Rift dev kit, so they cut out a section of the helmet that they were using, so they had the full-on simulation of the racing game with the seat moving and everything like that, but then with the Rift view on there, so that'd be absolutely excellent. I'd love to try that out.
Yeah. I mean, when we had the Kickstarter a year ago, I looked up how much it would cost to buy one of those fairground simulator rides.
Oh yeah.
And there was one for sale for about $3,000.
Oh my word.
It was only a small thing, like a 6-seater.
Yeah.
But I mean, for you playing Elite Dangerous, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's excellent. That'd be fine. That'd be plenty. I think I could fit it in here in the spare room. I'll try anyway.
It was actually pretty small.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty good simulator seats actually, because I got interested in the whole topic once the Rift came out. I started looking into it again, and I saw these fairly decent little, not necessarily a complete 360 rotation, but they got quite a wide degree of freedom, and they are actually quite compact. Little seats in them and everything. So I'd be tempted. I'll have to completely remove my desk and throw everything out of this room. But they probably wouldn't take up much more space than I'd say the footprint of a single bed. So you could fit them in most spare bedrooms if as long as you don't mind being disowned by your other half, which I assume would happen as soon as I tried to explain how I needed that. But no, maybe one day, maybe once I send the kids off to college, maybe.
I know how you could justify it. If you play your racing game with the moving seat thing, you could say you want to teach the kids how to drive.
Oh, that's a good point. And then for this, I can say
you'd simulate driving a car, and you'd simulate the G-forces and the way it moves your body and things like that.
Exactly. I'd have to put a spreadsheet together to show how much we'd save on driving lessons, and then that would probably work. and then I can say, well, it's like
and they'd be safe.
Exactly. Yeah, perfectly safe. There's no issues.
You wouldn't be out on the road getting in risk of getting hit by someone. They'd be safe.
Exactly. It's perfect. And then I can say, furthermore, if they ever want to learn to fly, then we can. We just build up from there, really.
My child wants to be an astronaut. That's why I need to hook up Elite Dangerous to this chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a prototype training system. No, to be fair, I'm quite surprised my wife hasn't gone completely nuts already with how much I've spent on Elite already and how much I've been doing with it. But no, she's quite understanding, bless her.
I think there's worse things you could have done. I mean, you've heard the term golf widow, I take it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least this way you're in the house. You're
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah, you know, she can occasionally shake me for a cup of tea or something like that. You know, as long as I'm not streaming, it's fine. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now you're closer than you look. Oh, it's only a couple of 100 meters away from me. Boom. There you are. Oh dear, dear. Concentration coming in now. This one scenario does seem to be a bit of a leap. You know, the first few scenarios are quite simple, but then you get to this one with the, I think this one called Recon Wing with the four federal fighters that come after you. This is a sudden jump up in difficulty, I must admit.
Okay, we have a question in the chat.
Excellent.
From Spooky.
Ah, greetings, Commander.
Does anyone know if Elite Dangerous will support the new AMD Mantle API?
Good question. I would assume at the moment no, because it's obviously running a custom engine. It's not something like Crysis or you know, or what's it, Crytek engine, you know, something like that. It's not a proprietary off-the-shelf engine, it's running custom code. So at the moment, no. I don't see any reason why they might not consider that in the future. I think given Frontier's past ways of looking at things, they'll probably play a wait-and-see approach and see whether Mantle picks up enough steam to be worthwhile. Oh, that's a lot of missiles at once there. So yeah, so at the moment there's no confirmation of that, and I doubt there's any plans to add it soon. But you know, with the Cobra engine that Frontier have, I mean, it's got full support for I think which consoles is it now? I mean, they've just released Zoo Tycoon on the Xbox One and the 360, so they must be able to compile to practically every platform out there. I don't know if they can support PS4 at the moment. I imagine they can. So, you know, I mean, if they're targeting such a wide range of platforms already, I don't see why they couldn't eventually add Mantle support. Effectively, it's you know, it's just another API. So, I mean, I know from my point of view as a developer, you know, it can be a bit of a pain to have so many APIs and support a code path for each one, but I mean, as long as your engine is well designed, it's not entirely impossible. It's you know, it's just a pain because you have to rewrite the same things again and re-optimize them for the same you know, for the same things but for different platforms. You're a bit of a pain in the backside. Not looking at the distance indicator again, I'm just blasting wildly into the distance. Oh, come here, you. I know, I mean... Oh dear. Oh, sorry. It's that man thing gigging in again, and they're like every time I come across a bit of action or something like that.
That's one of those moments people want a webcam on your face.
It's like kind of like just talking away and then complete freeze, and yeah, the brain just gives up on me.
There's no danger of having a webcam of my face while I'm talking on the stream. I mean, my voice should give you an idea of how ugly I am. You really don't want me spoiling your Christmas with a webcam.
Oh dear. No, I
mean, we had the photo of everyone at LaveCon in a group shot, and I was that embarrassed by it. I got an old photo of myself and pasted my face over my face in the LaveCon.
Oh dear. No, it's I like I said to you earlier on before I started streaming there, I was like, you know, it's kind of, I'm not, oh dear, I'm not too fond of the idea of blasting my face all over the place, but But hey, I know it's. I've seen some of the Oculus Rift reaction videos, and I think that that it is quite funny to see how people react to it. So I think it'd be an interesting thing to do. And if hey, if the fans want that, then who am I to argue?
Someone videoed when Fozza tried out the Oculus Rift at Elite Meet. Did they capture the moment with Fozza going, ow, ow, ow?
No.
Did they capture that?
No,
I missed that.
I think they missed that part of it.
Oh, that was classic.
Yeah, I know. I felt so bad for him. I was like, "Are you sure you want to try this with your glasses? Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Put it on." And then I was, trying to ease it over his head, and then he's like, no, it's not gonna fit. So I felt really bad for him.
And the thing I like most about that video is I was there, didn't realise it was being filmed. I was there and I'm sat just out of camera range.
Yeah, I think is it John Stabler? I think snuck that in.
He had the sense not to have me on camera.
Oh, I am in trouble now. The Cobra has spotted me. Oh dear, he's waffling away, and I bounced off the asteroid a few times. Never mind. No, incoming missile. It's ducked behind these asteroids.
Going back to what Frontier might sell with the game, I was reading today about some feedback, like some comments on the forum about the store, and it is a bit on the confusing side when, say for me for example, I've pledged 150, so I've got founder level, and then you look at what you're entitled to on the store, and it's like, is it 100 quid premium beta for me on the store? And it's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I must admit, I did feel the same way, and it kind of, when the store first opened, I saw it pop up on there, and I think it said the £200 level, and my instant panic reaction, I just went through the whole process of, oh my god, it hasn't applied. Well, oh my god, it's not the right thing. And then started looking at how I could purchase the thing again, and I got right up close to actually checking out, which I would have bought 2 versions of the freaking alpha, and then I realised, hang on a minute, and there was the big download button hidden away in one of the other tabs there. So yeah, it was a little bit of a moment of panic and confusion, but yeah, it is a difficult thing to do, because how do you set up something like this in a way which is like, you've got some people which have access to things, and then other people don't have access to elements of it. It's how do you set up something like that?
I'm just impressed that they've gone through what was at the time of the Kickstarter ending 25,000 people's pledges, and by the time of a year later we're talking 40,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm impressed they've gone through 40,000 people's pledges basically, and assigned them what they're entitled to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that is impressive.
That's a heck of a spreadsheet. Yeah, that must have...
Yeah, we are literally talking a spreadsheet, because Ashley's told me that when it came to assigning the NPC names, it is literally done in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, because imagine every single one of those things would need human review to confirm that it's not breaking any sort of content rules or whatever. So it's a tricky thing. There's a lot of things you can automate, but
you've got to respect Ashley for that, if
yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I don't envy having to do that. But, and you can automate a lot of things. You could all be put into a database, and a lot of things can be moved off. But when it does come to that, the player naming and everything, then there's just nothing else you can really do. And I think that's one of the decisions that reflects how Frontier took a stance on things like player content and modding and things like that. it's a tricky topic, and it's still popping up. We're still having a few new threads come in here and there where people are saying about us, oh, I want to be able to upload an image and paste it all over my ship, or I want to be able to name things in certain ways. And anytime you run into that issue of player-generated content, it's a very tricky topic, to have something which allows complete freedom for the players, but doesn't allow people to, break the system and kind of make it an unpleasant place for a lot of people. I think one of the classic examples, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the game Spore?
I do remember Spore, yes.
I was very enthused about that when it was first announced. I thought it was going to be a great game, and in a lot of ways it was. But then when you started to get the people abusing the system and making a variety of phallic creatures, shall we say?
Yeah.
It just got a bit kind of silly then, really, that you couldn't enjoy the game without it being spoiled by people in that way.
Yeah.
And I can see why Frontier made that decision. Like, at the moment, no, we can't allow people to, just upload anything they please and just do whatever they want in that respect.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm one of the biggest ones, as far as I know, pushing for user-generated content and modding. And even I admit, Frontier would have to approve everything.
Yeah. It would be an absolute administration nightmare, and it would. I mean, the cost alone would be an absolute pain as well when you think about it. I mean, as we were talking earlier on about, whether cosmetic upgrades would be enough to support the game, and when you think of adding extra cost, which isn't actually adding any gameplay value to anyone, just the administration of allowing everyone to have custom decals on their ship, for example. It's like it's an insane amount of money that you're pouring down the drain just for that feature, where it could be much better spent on something like a new expansion, or like a weapon pack or something being released, something like that. And I'd much rather see the money for the game spent on things like that than allowing us to have friendly content generated by players.
We have a question from Texas Stew. How are the controls with the VR headset?
Oh, excellent, actually. Very intuitive, I think, is the best way to describe it. But, I mean, it took me a little while to get used to the X52 itself anyway. But with the Oculus Rift on, you really had to kind of like memorize where all the keys are, and buttons, and what all the axes are. So I mean, as long as you're comfortable with the flight stick anyway, it's actually very, very intuitive and quite natural. It's definitely better using a flight stick than something like fumbling around trying to find keys on the keyboard. So I'd recommend anyone trying a flight stick with the game, because it's definitely optimized for that, particularly with the Rift as well. Oh dear. Back to this mission again. See if we can actually do this time.
Hello, Drop Bear Antics.
Greetings, Commander. Nice to see you.
And Merry Christmas, Hanukkah Kwanzaa to you as well. Is that how you say that word? I've never got used to that word.
No, I mean, I have a lot of issue trying to pronounce names. I do my best, but I often fail.
No, it's the religious holiday. Kwanzaa.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm no good at pronunciation anyway. Full stop.
Oh, for my party piece, I can say some long words. Do you want to hear one of them?
Oh, go ahead.
The Welsh train station name.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that. I've actually been there.
I don't say it the way the Welsh say it, so a Welsh person will quite happily tell me I say it wrong, but I say it the way it's written.
Okay.
And it's Chlanfer Pulgwyn Gogeli Chilgin Drobolanta Silly Go Go Goch.
Go. It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's actually that was actually pretty good. I have some relatives who are Welsh. I think that's a pretty good pronunciation.
My dad was Welsh.
Oh right.
And I spent many a holiday in South Wales, where my mum lives there now. So I got used to speaking the Welsh things, like the double L's and the H's.
Yeah. It's confusing initially to a lot of people, and particularly on the road signs and all. It's quite funny to see all these peculiar sounding names.
So yeah, my party piece is I can get my tongue around a few long words like that one. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy.
I don't think I want to ask the meaning of that one. It sounds pretty nasty.
It's BSE. It's mad.
Ah, of course, yes, yeah.
And because
Acronym
everyone
for the
can
win.
do supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yes.
I'm just showing off now. Sorry.
I'm trying to think. What's my favourite? Was it? Oh, crikey! Anti-disestablishmentarianism. I like that one.
Well done.
1.5 attempts. Right, let's go in for the kill. Come on. Oh, gotta back off from that pulse laser. It's a killer. I nearly took my shields out entirely there. Come on, we can do this. Both of my wingmen are down, so... That's one thing I've been too busy playing to actually notice the recharge time on the shields. I know each one of the shields has basically got 3 concentric rings of energy or the level of output or something like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually noticed it the total amount of recharge time. And I know you have that kind of like once you've taken the shields down entirely, they have that initial kind of like delay where it has to charge back up.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually noticed how long each one of these little rings takes to recharge.
When it's charging up from empty, I've noticed sometimes it will slow down. What is it that's causing it to slow down?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I've noticed a few different effects. One of them, I wasn't immediately aware of what it was, but occasionally, like the last 4 or 5 segments, it would start flashing white and it would be bleeping at you quite profusely. I think I've since been corrected on that by someone that it's actually a shield unit malfunction because it's taken damage. So that's the one thing that I've seen. But I think the speed at which the units recharge is related to the amount of damage the system has taken as well. Because I did notice when I did the subsystem damage on the Anaconda, once I got its shield generator down to a very, like a single-digit percentage, his shields were taking a heck of a long time to charge back up. So I think the speed at which your shields can recharge are based on the health of that particular system. That's what I'm assuming anyway at the moment. Until we've got proper subsystem damage and the damage model for that, I think we're not going to be 100% on that.
Yeah. I think it was Sharpshifter one night I asked when I went from... You'd finished your stream and I went to watch Sharpshifter's stream.
Yeah.
And I asked him if the hologram for your target over on the left represents the angle the ship is to you.
Yes.
And we established it is the same. So how you see it in the hologram on your left is the angle it is out there in relation to you, which can be quite handy thing to know.
Yes.
Tactically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was literally just thinking of that subconsciously as you were saying that, because I was thinking of approaching this Anaconda from behind here, so I'm trying to get myself in a position where I can see its engines, so that, like you said, from a tactical advantage, I can stay out of range of that beam laser for a little bit longer. You can see it. This is one of the things I think they've changed on the AI is it's trying to maneuver itself into a position where I'm not behind it. It's a tricky little bugger. And it's got me again.
and I'm pretty sure the blue dots on the hologram of your target are where you are hitting its shield, and when it goes to a yellow dot, that's hull damage.
Yes, yeah, as far as I can tell, that seems to be the case as well. Yeah, definitely, and that's another handy thing, because it's like at this range, you know you can't. Well, I'm too far out now, but you can't tell whether you are getting a good hit on things, because the damage model doesn't actually show up a flash. You know, quite so large as you'd like at this sort of range. But yes, on that little view, if you keep that in the corner of your eye, you know you're getting a good hit. If I try and get it a little bit closer now, I'll go in for another salvo on him now. And there we go. Yep, you can see the... So it's actually quite nice for aiming, because I know I can just tweak the stick slightly, and if I keep an eye on that, I know that if he moves about, I can actually keep myself in a nice position there to keep hitting him.
But what I haven't figured out yet is where you've got the central part of your windscreen, and in the middle of that is your targeting reticule.
Yeah.
Around the main part of your windscreen, you've got like 4 points, and like on the left and right side, they are connected. I don't think they're connected across top and bottom.
No.
But left and right side, they're connected, and I don't know what those 4 points are, or why they come up.
Okay, so, I mean, starting from the top left there, I've got the, it says secondary 1 with a little blue rectangle next to it. Now, I think that's related to my, you can have different weapon group, different fire groups, I think they're referred to as, on the right-hand ship's panel. Which I can't show you at the moment, obviously, because it doesn't show up in the Rift. But yeah, so you can kind of group together different weapons into different fire groups, and I think that's with the Sidewinder. It's kind of either or, so it's not really much use. But I can imagine for larger ships, you could have quite a complicated set of weapon groups set up and doing that. You know, for different types of missiles and activating turrets and whatnot, so that's going to be quite interesting. Top right is a little yellow box, and then primary 1, so that's primary and secondary fire taken care of. Now in the bottom right, I've actually got the beam laser words written there, and a little heat readout. You see, as I'm firing, it's going up, and then when it gets to maximum there, you get thermal overload, and the weapon has to shut down briefly to cool down. And then for the other weapon on the left hand side, I've got small missiles, so that is actually a readout of the total number of missiles I have left remaining, which is currently, I've got, well, the little yellow boxes I think are the number of missiles you have like in your hull, but I've got a little indication underneath it reading 6 out of 24, so I've got 24 total and 6 loaded ready to fire.
Right.
So I think that the elements around that part of the HUD, they do adapt and change based on your weapon loadout. So providing I don't completely stuff this up, hopefully in the next scenario I can demonstrate what that means to a degree.
And right on your targeting reticule, you've got 2 yellow bars.
So yeah, so I think there seems to be a different set of reticules for each kind of weapon. In this case, we've got the there's like an upper section and 2 lower sections, roughly in a triangle formation. Those seem to be directly related to my my laser, my beam laser, and they kind of light up when I'm getting a hit. So that's the one element there. And the 2 bars on the side, I think, are loosely related to the missiles. They seem to be anyway. And in the previous mission, where you have the missiles that can lock on, you've got a slightly different reticule again, where you have a couple of concentric rings which zoom in and stick to the center reticule once you've actually got a lock on.
We have a question from Zednix. Have Frontier announced when more ships will become available to play?
Oh, I wish they had. No, I don't think we've seen any news on that yet. But I'm assuming that once we've got the combat model thoroughly tested and locked down, we're going to start seeing a lot more different types of ships crop up. I'm assuming the next one will probably be the Cobra or something like that, as we've already got a model for it in game. It just needs the cockpit model added, so that might be the next one we see. And I know for a lot of the Kickstarter backers, then one of the reward levels was to be able to start the game with a Cobra kitted up for exploration or piracy and various things like that. So I wouldn't mind the Cobra showing up as the next craft we can play, because I think Frontier are probably going to need some feedback of how people feel about the differences in flight models on various different ships. But in a lot of ways, I wouldn't want to see a whole bunch of ships, because I kind of want at least some surprises when the full game comes out. I kind of, a lot of people probably think that I want to get an alpha because I want to know it all now. In a lot of ways, no, I don't want to know it all now. I want a few surprises when I get the full game.
Yeah. That sort of ties in with a thing I think I mentioned a while ago about walkthroughs and spoilers on the forum.
Yeah.
Because not everyone, I mean, there are people out there that they go to play a game and they try it on their own to begin with, and then they get to a point where they don't know what they're doing, or they don't know how to do something or solve something, and then they start consulting a walkthrough. And once you start consulting a walkthrough, that's it. It's you can't stop consulting a walkthrough for most people. I'm sure there's some out there that can stop consulting a walkthrough, but once you start consulting a walkthrough, that's it. You just consult the walkthrough for every little tiny little thing in the game. You just don't bother putting effort in the game anymore, and it spoils the game for you, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So I don't know about anyone else. Obviously, I can't speak for anyone else and how they want to play the game, but I want to try and do as much as possible without the game being spoiled for me.
No, I agree entirely. I mean, all too often I've done that myself, and it does kind of get addictive. It's like, why do I need to put the effort to solving this puzzle when I know I can just look it up? And I think probably the most recent one I did that on was something like Portal. I think, it's just like you said, it is just too addictive. It's like you know there's an answer out there, so why bother looking for it, sort of thing.
You mean, why bother trying to figure it out for yourself?
Exactly.
Just look for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but.
So I mean, yeah, with a game like Elite Dangerous, you want to be able to find things out for yourself. You want to if you're going to do the exploring, you want to go out there and see what you can find for yourself that hasn't been found already.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's what
you don't want to read up and say, well, if you go to such and such a system, you'll see this.
No, exactly, and that's and I'm hoping in a lot of ways the kind of the meta game elements which Frontier have spoke about will kind of make a lot of that completely redundant. The fact that you can play it completely offline, single player or online single player and all that sort of stuff. So if you are playing around a lot of these kind of, there's not going to be an advantage of knowing where something is, because it may be a completely different situation for you. You may not have got to the point where a certain character on a space station would want to talk to you even, so you're not going to be able to go to person A and perform event B and all that sort of stuff. It's just not going to make sense in this kind of like meta universe. I don't know if it's come through on the stream yet, but I finally finished the Supply strike one. Boom! Yep, that railgun does some damage. So on to incursion. Just wish I could get closer to that hyperspace effect. It looks interesting. I don't think it's a finished effect by any means, because I know that was another one of those things that was hotly debated on the forums, as how the hyperspace wormhole should look. But it just goes to show the sort of dedication of not only the Frontier but the fans as well. You know, everyone wants it to be as perfect as it can be. So
Yeah. Greg is saying the only thing he wants to search for is the NPC he has named and the space station he named.
yeah. I think that's going to be nice to have all those little things in which people can relate to in the game. I can't wait for that sort of thing to be found. And I think there's been a lot of talk about having a list which players can use to look up when people find those sorts of things. You know, I'm hoping there's enough consistency to make that possible, that you know, we're going to be able to track each other's space stations and whatnot. But again, that's one of those things, is whether or not this whole meta universe idea is going to allow us to do that. You know, are the same NPCs going to show up in one region for me as they do for you, sort of thing. You know, and then that's. Oh, I'm taking damage now. That's one of the things I've only just realised in a lot of things here, is if you take all of the system energy pips out of the engine component, you lose the boost functionality, which is a bit of a pain. I didn't realise that you need to have at least 2 little pips on the engine systems there, otherwise you don't have anything at all on the boost.
Yeah.
I kind of noticed the same thing on the other systems as well. The railgun in particular in this scenario, if you've taken all the power out of the weapon systems, it doesn't actually have enough power to charge and fire in a lot of situations. So, you know, it is still quite a juggle. You really have to get that balance right. Nearly gotcha. Boom.
I'm just talking on Skype at the minute.
Oh, right, no worries.
Don't know if you wanted to have a look at that, if you've got a moment.
Oh, did you paste a link or something on there?
Kind of.
Oh,
Greg is saying he finds the railgun the least useful. He uses the reverse cheat maneuver because it takes too long between charge and fire in a dogfight. Greg, I think you find they're gonna nerf that one.
Yeah, they're both gonna change the way the railgun works, and they're gonna change the combat tactics for how the AI reacts to people reversing. I think they're quite simply going to put something in where the AI won't fly in a straight line towards you, try and catch up. They will wiggle about a little, something like that. I think in the process of for some reason that message coming through caused the game window to disappear. So
Oops, sorry.
no worries. I can't. like I said, one of these problems with the Rift on is I can't actually see the monitor to see why the window has vanished. Nope, it's generally vanished. Okay. So I think on that note, as it's midnight, I think it's probably a good point to leave it. And I'll find out why my window has disappeared entirely.
Thank you for streaming, as
That's right.
always.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for helping out, and thanks.
On behalf of everyone watching.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And it's always great to have questions coming in. Gives me something to waffle on about whilst I'm trying to shoot things. Always makes it a bit more interesting. Dear. So yeah, as always, any comments and suggestions are welcome. Anyone want to feed through? I'm Kerrash on the forums, so you can always sign in and send me a message. Anything they'd like me to see. You know, I don't mind playing some other games if people want to see that as well. You know, things like Kerbal Space Program. You know, that's something we've streamed before. We've made a couple of elite ships in it for for fun. So anything like that is worth a laugh. Kerbal's
I love the reactions of the Kerbals because it's like the little three-eyed alien in Toy Story where they go, "Oh!"
It's like, "Oh, space!" Excellent. It was good fun. Yes, and that's good, Petrus. Yeah, good point. Merry Christmas to everyone. In case I don't see you all again, hope you all have a great time, and hopefully no one will be tuning in to see me in the next couple of days. Hopefully you've all got much better things to do. But if not, I'm going to.
Hopefully we're all off enjoying ourselves.
Exactly. There we go. So thank you to everyone tonight, and we'll see you again shortly. Bye bye.